Hey guys, what's up? JK with PornReboot here. Today I'm going to be talking about a very important topic, and it's based on a question that many men ask me and struggle with themselves when they are rebooting from an out-of-control sexual behavior with porn or masturbation. And that question is, should you tell your wife, your girlfriend, your partner about your porn addiction? That's a big one. Now, one of the things I've noticed with many men who struggle with this question is that they sometimes try to resolve it themselves because they've been keeping this secret for so long. They haven't been working with a professional, so they just go with their gut feeling. And there's nothing wrong with this. Sometimes it could lead to making your relationship much more open. It could relieve a lot of guilt. But on the other hand, it could also lead to the demise of your relationship. And I've seen that happen. So I'm going to do one thing for you that I do for my clients, and that is I'm going to give you the criteria to determine whether you should tell your partner about your porn addiction. So you should tell your partner about your porn addiction if your relationship has gotten to the point where it is negatively affected by the secret. And what I mean by this is if you've been struggling with pornography to the point where you're starting to exhibit withdrawal symptoms, you have PIED, you are, let's say, treating your wife sexually in a way that she's not comfortable with, if you are emotionally detached as a result of your addiction, if you're finding yourself very often quite depressed, if you're in financial trouble because you're not able to focus on work or you're not motivated to go out there and provide and support the family, and your wife has no idea what it is, she just thinks this guy has issues, or she's taking some of the blame herself, but deep down you know that it is your porn addiction. If it's gotten to that point, you may want to consider disclosure. You may want to consider telling her about your porn addiction. Now, there's a way to do it, and how much you should tell her is a subject for another video. This is just to help you with some of the criteria on determining whether you should or you should not share it with her. So that would be one of the first reasons why you should share it. The second reason why you should share your struggle with your porn and masturbation addiction with your partner is if your partner has become very suspicious. Suspicious to the point that y'all are just not comfortable in the relationship anymore. And this could happen for various reasons. First of all, the way you treat her sexually might make her suspicious. She's like, hey, I've known you for years. You've never wanted this. Why is your need for this sexual act escalating? Maybe you've been sloppy with hiding your porn use, and she's found your history, you didn't clear your cache. She's found text messages from women if you're stepping out of your relationship, and she started to get to a point where you feel the suspicion is a little bit too much. She's checking your phone. She doesn't believe you when you go out. She always thinks she's going to catch you watching pornography, or she's trying to actively catch you doing something even when you aren't. At this point, your relationship is on the rocks. It's probably a good time to seriously consider sharing that you have a problem so that you can begin the healing process with your partner. Another reason why you should share it is if you are in recovery, if you are rebooting, and your reboot process is actually being negatively affected by the secret. And I'll give you guys a little bit of context. When I work with a married man, when I work with a man in a relationship, it's not my role to force them to disclose. Sometimes they have to based on certain criteria, and I will not work with some men if they do not share it with their partners. For others, they shouldn't share it just yet. And for a minority of men, there's absolutely no need for them to share it. But sometimes when I work with a client, if they have a habit of lying and keeping secrets, and I notice that that is affecting their honesty when it comes to accountability, when I notice that it's affecting their honesty when it comes to certain exercises and just different aspects of the recovery process, sometimes that goes back to that one big secret. And because they're keeping one big secret and they've built this habit over the years of keeping the secret, They feel that they might as well keep secrets with everything. And many men are not doing this on purpose. It's just second nature to them. It's just something that they've been doing. And in some cases, taking care of that one big secret and getting rid of it makes everything easier. And for the first time in their lives, or sometimes the first time in their married lives, they are able to be absolutely open about everything. And that brings about this amazing feeling of relief. I can't even describe it. It's a very unique feeling for somebody who has been living a lie for so many years of his life to come to a point where he really has nothing to hide. Whether you like it or not, regardless of how successful you become or how happy you feel, if you have that guilt within you, that huge secret, it can weigh you down. And that's something I'm going to be talking about in this video as well. Another reason why you should share your porn addiction with your partner is if your partner is at risk for some sort of sexually transmitted disease. And there are some men who struggle with pornography, but also struggle with a co-occurring sex addiction, or they may not be a sex addict, but they have stepped out on their relationship a couple of times. Maybe you've had sex with an escort, maybe you've had an affair here and there, and you find out that you have an STD. Now, if you've contracted an STD from your acting out behavior, it goes without saying that the responsible thing to do is to let your partner know that there's a situation, I know that there are some men that are in that situation, and if you're watching this, I know how challenging it can be to share that. It's one thing to tell someone that you have a porn addiction. It's another thing to say, hey, not only do I struggle with porn and masturbation, but I've also stepped out on our marriage. I've stepped out on our relationship. Oh, you think you don't know me? Oh, wait till you hear this. I also have an STD. Challenging, scary, but there is a process that you can go through to share this with your wife. It's not just about dumping it on them, okay? And like I said, we'll be talking about that in another video. So when should you not tell your partner? And you may be sitting there going like, okay, JK, this is great. You've told me about why I should tell her. I'm not comfortable with any of those. I want to hear why I should not tell her. Maybe it's going to be an excuse. So before I tell you this, I just want to say, don't use this as an excuse, okay? At the end of the day, do the right thing. There's going to be an emotional aspect to it, of course, but use that logical part of your mind that you have as a man and make the right decision as well. The first reason why you should not share your porn or masturbation addiction with your partner is if you are doing it out of anger. For whatever the reason might be, if you find yourself being highly emotional, very, very angry, and you want to hurt her, you're like, I'm going to hurt her by saying like, whatever, like, you don't go to the gym anymore, you don't take care of your body, that's why I watch porn. I watch porn because you won't give me what I want, Like when we got married, when we got together, you used to take care of yourself. Now you let yourself go. I'm happier with whatever, the girls on the chat cams. That sort of conversation, if that is what is prompting you to share it with her, that is probably not the best way to go about doing it. The second one is very common and it's super important. You should not share this with your partner if this is going to be a way of, and I call it vomiting all your guilt on her. Some men get to a point where they experience so much guilt, especially men who struggle with PIED, especially men who have crossed the line, who have had an affair, where there's some infidelity or cheating that's been going on in the relationship. Sometimes a man can be weighed down by guilt that he does not think this through, and he just goes out and he goes like, you know what, if I spew everything out there, if I dump it all out, if I vomit it all out, I'm gonna feel so much better. That is selfish. I know many men have done it. Sometimes it's turned out well for them, or so it seems, and sometimes it's turned out to be very horrible. But think of your partner. Your partner may be aware of some aspect of your behavior. In fact, you may have even told her that you struggle with porn. But if you've crossed the line and done something that makes you feel guilty, and you dump all of this on her, she's not expecting any of that. Sometimes it is so much for her to process that she decides that this is not something she wants to deal with. It's so much of a shock. Not everybody has the mental capability or is mentally prepared to deal with that sort of information, especially from somebody that they have spent years with or months with, and they've built this image of you. They have this idea which you presented to them as like, this is who I am Brian, I am James, I am whomever, and you're just destroying that in one fell swoop. That's what happens when you spew everything out, and that can spell the destruction of your relationship from that point on. So if you've done that in the past, you can't undo it. But if you are at a point where you are wrestling with it right now, I do not recommend it. Another reason why you should not share your porn addiction or your masturbation addiction or your sexually compulsive behavior with your partner is if you know that your partner is vulnerable. And what I mean is, if you know that she's going through a tough time in her life, if you know that she's dealing with some disorder of her own, such as depression, or she has a personality disorder, or you know that emotionally she's not going to be able to handle it and she might end up harming herself, don't do it, okay? This is very important because there are people who are dealing with their own problems and they are in their own healing process. And sometimes we're just like, I just got to do this selfishly, I can't live with her anymore. I want to be with another woman. And there are so many women out there, guys. There are so many women out there whose lives have been completely destroyed, who have been shattered by not just the porn addiction, not the compulsive behavior, but actually the way that a man went about sharing it, okay, and his timing of it. So please be wary of this if you know that your partner is vulnerable emotionally or mentally. And the last reason why you should not share your out of control sexual behavior with your partner is if you're doing it to kind of show her that you're still attractive or that you've still got it. And maybe you're at a stage in your relationship where you feel that your partner is taking you for granted, or you have your own insecurities that you're dealing with. And you find yourself in a situation where you have crossed the line, and let's say you're dating women from dating apps, you have women who are texting you, you're just out there, outside of the boundaries of your relationship, or at least the agreed upon boundaries of your relationship, and you want to spite your partner, or just show her that you're still attractive. And in the process, you reveal that you have a compulsive sexual behavior with pornography, with masturbation, with meeting women, whatever it is. That's not the way to go about doing it, because what you do is you end up hurting this woman, but more importantly, you are not thinking of the ramifications of what you've said on yourself. Because you're with this woman, you're in a relationship with her, it doesn't matter that you're stepping out, it doesn't matter that you're watching pornography, there is some sort of attachment. And the moment you break that attachment, especially in a negative way like this, then you're going to go through the pain of either trying to fix the relationship or to end that attachment. And that just leads to a lot of drama in the relationship, not something you want to do, all right? So brothers, those are some of the things to consider when deciding whether you should tell your partner or whether you shouldn't tell your partner. How to tell your partner is another story. I will put together a video on that, but if you're in that situation right now, or you have kind of gone the opposite way from some of these suggestions that I've given you and you find yourself in trouble, I'm happy to get on a quick call with you. So if you're over the age of 25, if you are in a relationship, whether you're married or you're dating somebody, doesn't matter, and you want to get on a quick call with me and kind of get some feedback from me on what you're doing, especially if you're trying to end your behavior with porn and masturbation, I am happy to speak to you. There's a link to request a call in the description below. I do want to tell you that my schedule is usually booked. There's usually a 2 to 3 week wait to speak to me, especially during the summer. Don't let that stop you from putting in an application. I will get back to you, all right? So I would love to hear some of your comments. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section. I will respond to them. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And when you do subscribe, make sure you click on the little bell to get notifications every time I release a video. I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you later in the week.